Hello everyone, this is part 62 of What If Naruto Meets the Nine Tails Early, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Running into the forests for protection, 6 Naruto clones finally came to a halt as they had put a good enough distance between them and the two fighting Biju. A massive tremor fell through the landscape and a shockwave nearly tore the trees from their roots, the result of two Bijudama colliding with one another. One of the clones set down the large scroll that was given to them by the original in order to place the sealing formula on for the seal that would once again reseal Shukaku within Gaara. While Naruto didn't particularly like the thought of sealing that maniacal tanuki back in one he thought of as a brother, Gaara had been taken over by the Ichibi, a result of a destroyed seal from an attempted extraction of the Biju, and now the only way Naruto could save the current Kazekage was to reseal Shukaku. Right, so which seal do you think we should use? Asked one of the Narutos as they began discussing amongst themselves what would be the best way to seal up the Ichibi. How about one we know works? Said another clone, pointing at his own stomach. That actually could work, said another clone. But wait, questioned a different clone. Doesn't that seal result in the Shinigami consuming your soul? No, that's the S-demon consuming seal, said the clone that suggested the seal in the first place. I'm talking about the 8 trigram seal. Dad used the S-demon consuming seal to weaken Kurama by sealing part of him within the Shinigami so that he could then use the 8 trigram seal to seal Kurama within us. Okay. But still, if we use the 8 trigrams seal, that would still allow for Shukaku to converse with Gaara. I thought we wanted to keep Shukaku away from Gaara, said another concerned clone. Gaara will be in control. We can't completely separate the two, but we can give Gaara a seal that will give him much more protection and control over the Ichibi's chakra, said the first clone. And besides, Gaara and Shukaku are eventually going to need to learn to work together. As much as Kurama would hate to admit it, we'll need the Ichibi's help if we want to defeat Akatsuki for good. Right, let's get to work on this, agreed the other clones as another chaotic clash erupted in the distance. Both Kurama and Shukaku charged up Bijudamas before firing them at one another. The two chakra spheres collided with one another, unleashing their immense energy upon the surrounding landscape, leaving a crater where the two balls collided. Shukaku whipped up a wave of sand and sent it towards Kurama. Responding to the sand wave, Kurama exhaled a scorching hot foxfire, engulfing the sand and halting the wave. The flames ate away quickly, revealing a large wall of glass between the two Biju. Kurama dashed towards his brother, intent on simply the glass wall aside with a swipe of his claw. However, Shukaku had other plans as he fired off a succession of futon, drilling air bullets at Kurama. The first bullet shattered the glass wall like nothing while the second one propelled the glass shrapnel towards Kurama. Kurama skidded to a halt as he whipped his tails around like a fan, sending a powerful gust to clash with Shukaku's air-out off-glass bullet. The two jutsus met, but Kurama's had much more power behind it, sending the glass flying in all directions in front of him. Hey, that little puff of yours isn't going to be enough to stop me, taunted Kurama. Enraged by Kurama's taunts, Shukaku quickly charged up a Bijudama before firing it at Kurama. The giant fox ducked underneath the ball of chakra, an explosion erupting behind him and sending another quake through the already damaged landscape. Shukaku had already dashed towards Kurama and lashed out at the 9-tailed Biju with his tail. Kurama jumped to the side but not before grabbing Shukaku's tail in his jaw. Shukaku let out a scream as Kurama's teeth dug into the sandy tail and Kurama quickly planted his feet firmly in the ground before tossing Shukaku into the nearby lake, which really wasn't much bigger than a puddle for a child comparatively. With a shriek that would put a little girl to shame, Shukaku leapt out of the water as he attempted to dry that wet and sandy posterior of his. Ah, did I get you wet? Mocked Kurama. Geez, and I thought Matatabi was always fussy after getting wet. You know, now that I really think about it, you're not so much a raccoon dog, but a raccoon cat. Shukaku sent a glare towards Kurama, one that only the Shinigami's mother could love. Oh, that had definitely crossed the line. No way was he going to stand there and be called a mangy feline. Oh yeah. Let's see how much you fuss when I start those precious tails of yours off one by one. Meow. Kurama's cat calling only served to enrage Shukaku more as the one-tailed tanuki growled at his foxy brother. Well, let's see if you don't turn tail and run like a little scaredy cat after this, shouted Shukaku as he his tail on the ground. Instantly, massive waves of sand rose up all around the two Biju, towering even far above Kurama's head as they threatened to crash down upon the kitsune, burying him underneath tons of sand. There was no way Kurama was going to run from this. There was no way he'd give Shukaku the satisfaction. And besides, he wasn't the most powerful Biju for nothing. The Kyubi no Yoko stood his ground as his chakra gathered. A bright reddish-white energy began to envelop him, the result of him gathering an extraordinary amount of fire-natured chakra, empowered by his own wind nature. So you want to play? Fine. I'll show you why I am the strongest, grinned Kurama. Inferno Pulse. The energy covering Kurama's body immediately pulsated outward, unleashing a brilliant golden flame, quickly spreading throughout the area contained within Shukaku's sand waves. To anyone looking straight at it, all they could see was a blinding flash of light that would have burnt the eyes off anyone looking straight at it. When the light subsided, everything that had been within Shukaku's sand waves was petrified into either some sort of charred stone or glass. The sand that had contained the blast was now a brilliant dome of glass that began to crack and shatter, unable to support its own weight. Looking ahead of him, Kurama eyed Shukaku, now entrapped in a thick cocoon of glass. Kurama knew the attack wouldn't K the Ichibi as he didn't gather nearly enough energy for it to K another Biju, but it had turned the outer layers of Shukaku's sand into glass. Even from here, he could tell his brother was struggling desperately to get free of the glass prison as a few cracks began to propagate. Okay, your clones can finish their part any time now. I've had more than enough fun for now, grinned Kurama. What was that? Gasped Naruto. And why didn't you tell me you could do something like that? Mare, I've still gotta have a few tricks up my sleeve now, don't I? Okay, it's done, said one of the Naruto clones working on the new seal for Gaara. Let's get it to boss then. Kurama should be done pretty soon, said one of the clones. The clones looked up to see a massive dome of sand rose up around where Kurama and Shukaku were fighting. But when a bright flash erupted from inside the dome, turning all of the sand into glass, the clones were left staring. They were all thinking the same thing, what other cool abilities was Kurama hiding from them? I think that would have done it, said a clone, getting nods out of the rest as they rolled up the ceiling scroll and took off towards the Biju battle. As Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke, and the shinobi from Suna were racing towards the battleground, a bright flash erupted just beyond the nearest hill. What's going on over there? Asked a worried Temari. Well, if I had to take a guess, I'd say a battle of that scale would only be fought between two powerful enemies, or in other words, Biju, said Kakashi. So Naruto's over there? Asked Sakura. Yeah. I sent him away with Gaara because of concerns over Akatsuki's extraction process weakening the seal on Gaara and the Shukaku escaping, said Kakashi. I've heard the name Naruto, said Chio. You expect a child to be able to fix a Jinchuriki's seal? Please, don't make me laugh. Fuinjutsu is a delicate art that takes decades to master. There's no way a child could even hope to understand the workings of a demon containment seal. Normally, I would agree with you on that, Chio-san, but you see Naruto's different, said Kakashi. You see, when it comes to Fuinjutsu, Naruto's probably the best our village has. Even Jiraiya-sama claims Naruto's mastery over sealing has surpassed his. Impossible. There was only one clan who could have possessed that level of skill, and they're all, retorted Chio. Gone. Finished Kakashi before letting out a chuckle. You said you knew Naruto's name. Well then you would know he bears the name of that clan as well. And I assure you, the Uzumaki B flows strongly through Naruto's veins. Kakashi's and everyone else's attention returned to the path ahead of them, Chio falling momentarily behind. So that clan still lives. Hey, I figured those fools in Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri would never be able to truly eliminate them. That's what you get for depending on the aid of other villages. The clones arrived at the decimated battlefield to see Shukaku pinned to the earth by Kurama. You having fun there, Kurama? Called one of the clones. Hey, I'll admit it was fun to see my brother again, or at least put him in his place, grinned Kurama. You got the seal ready? Naruto patted the scroll on his back and Shukaku began to struggle violently against Kurama's restraints. I will not go back, shouted Shukaku as he managed to get off a bullet of wind, aimed at the clones, before Kurama s his paw into the back of Shukaku's head, driving the tanuki's face into the scorched earth. Still, the wind bullet managed to hit the clones, dispelling them and causing the scroll to fly off across the petrified landscape. Wow, your clones really are squishy, thought Kurama. Damn it, now I'm going to have to do the sealing myself, swore Naruto. And that means returning to your normal fun and probably letting the Shukaku up, said Kurama. Yeah, and the clone I left behind to assist you didn't last long either, said Naruto. You know, if you could find a way to temporarily separate us, then that will allow me to fight and you to assist. Not to mention, you won't go, squish, as easily, chuckled Kurama. Yeah, perhaps you are right there. But we'll worry about that later, said Naruto. I've got an idea on how to keep Shukaku down while I seal him. Do I think you're going to do what I think you're going to do? Asked Kurama. Naruto nodded and Kurama let out a little laugh. Hee hee. Go for it. I can't wait to see it. Giving control back to Naruto, the full Kyuubi mode form quickly receded to leave just Naruto standing atop Shukaku. As soon as Shukaku felt the weight lessen, he quickly picked himself up and threw Naruto off of him. Ha ha, you really thought you could seal me away, brat, shouted Shukaku. Naruto said, pointing upwards. Summoning, food cart destroyer technique. Shukaku looked up just in time to see a couple 100 tons of purple toad crash down on top of him. Think you can hold him for just a little, Gameiken? Called out Naruto. I will try, but as you know I am rather clumsy, said Gameiken. Kurama was getting a good laugh at Shukaku being pinned underneath a massive toad and Naruto darted off in the direction in which the scroll went flying, finding it a couple 100 meters from where Shukaku shot it away from the clones. Naruto. Naruto turned around to see his team and a number of Suna ninja heading towards you. Looking up, Kakashi noticed a giant toad on top of a sandy tanuki. You weren't able to make it in time, were you? Asked Kakashi. I had just gotten away from that bomber bastard and started checking the seal. Before I could even begin to repair it, Shukaku came out to play. Kurama beat him pretty bad, but I need to get this new seal on Gaara to stop the Ichibi and save Gaara, said Naruto. Well, let's not hold you any longer, said Kakashi. Be careful everyone. As Naruto approached Shukaku, the tanuki managed to throw Gameiken off of him. I am sorry, Naruto-san, but I am quite clumsy. No, you did good Gameiken, said Naruto before dismissing the giant toad. Sasuke. Right, nodded Sasuke. Kaiten, majestic fire annihilation. Futon, hurricane's wrath. The two high-powered jutsus combined with one another, engulfing Shukaku in a massive inferno of flames. For the second time today, the Ichibi found himself encased in a glassy prison. Naruto quickly followed up, wanting to seal the Ichibi before the tanuki escaped his prison, by unfurling the scroll in front of him and going through the Uzumaki hand seals associated with the clan's sealing arts. Secret Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, 8 trigrams demonic sealing technique. Naruto s his hand onto the scroll and the seal shot outwards towards the encased Ichibi. Just as Shukaku broke free of his glass cocoon, he found himself bound by powerful chains of sealing kanji. No, you won't go back, shouted Shukaku as he struggled helplessly against the seal. He then looked down towards Naruto. You just wait, bastard. When I get out, I'm going to kill you and everyone you know. When talking to the person who held your fate in their hands, that was probably the last thing anyone would say. Yeah, well, good luck getting out of this any time soon, you sandy bastard. Seal. Making the final hand seal, the seal went to work sucking Shukaku back into his Jinchuriki. As the sand of Shukaku fell away, Naruto finally got a glimpse of Gaara, lying atop a mound of sand. Gaara! Shouted Naruto and Temari as they both rushed to the Kazekige's side. Everyone else quickly followed, with Chio just staring in awe. Sakura pushed her way through to Gaara and ran a quick diagnostic on the young Kazekige. He's alive and stable, said Sakura. She then looked down at Gaara's navel, where the coat he was wearing had been burned away, revealing the bare skin there and the glowing seal now present there. That looks just like. Yeah, I used the same seal I have on Gaara. That should allow him to isolate his mind from Shukaku's conscious while giving him access to the Ichibi's chakra, said Naruto. Chiyo stepped forward and one look at the seal told her everything. This seal, so your captain was right. From someone so young, this truly is a marvel to my old eyes. Ha, who are you, Granny? Asked Naruto, before Sakura quickly shoved his head downwards in an apologetic manner. This is Chiyo-sama, one of Suna's honored elders, said Sakura. It's all right, Sakura, replied Chiyo. I am actually the one who sealed the Ichibi in Gaara in the first place. That was probably the worst thing she could have said at that moment, as AK intended deafened the entire area. You were the one who put that seal on Gaara, growled Naruto. Do you even realize what you did? That thing you call a seal was a piece of crap. It's a miracle Gaara was even able to hold off the Ichibi's influence up until now. Naruto shot Chiyo a glare with red eyes that shook her to her very core. You're the reason he's suffered so long. You're the reason. Naruto, said Kakashi as he grabbed Naruto's arm. Looking over at Chiyo, she was honestly shivering at the ki Naruto directed towards her. Even the elder shinobi, who had experienced a number of wars in her days, had never felt something of that magnitude. Don't blame her. Suna never really was known for their expertise in sealing. I'm sure Chiyo-sama did everything she could with the available tools. When dealing with sealing the Shukaku, Suna actually used to consult the very clan you appear to come from. However, when the Yondaime Kazekage decided to seal the Ichibi within Gaara, well, you're probably aware of what caused the outbreak of the Second Shinobi War, said Chiyo. It's true that Gaara's seal wasn't the best for sealing a Biju, but your captain's right, that's all I had to work with at the time. You could have at least called Konoha and had Jiraiya oversee the sealing, said Naruto. I would personally prefer not to rely on another village, said Chiyo. Relying on silly alliances is what got Suna into the mess it is now. A village needs to know how to stand on its own feet. Believe it or not, she's right, Naruto, said Kakashi, sensing Naruto's temper rising. Still, I've just got this gut feeling that if we don't all come together sooner or later, then we're all going to be in trouble, said Naruto. Anyways, I need to check Gaara's seal. Naruto placed his hands over Gaara's new seal and channeled some chakra into it. Closing his eyes, Naruto's consciousness entered Gaara's seal. Gaara's seal. Believe it or not, Gaara's seal actually was kind of what one would expect. Naruto found himself staring forward into a hall leading into a giant pyramid in the middle of the desert. Shall we go and see my brother? Naruto looked down to find that he was actually standing on top of Kurama's head. Kurama, what are you doing here? Asked Naruto. This isn't like what happened back in the Chunin exams, is it? No. When you entered Gaara's seal, I channeled some of my chakra as well to join you. There's something I am waiting to happen and now's probably the best time for it to happen, said Kurama. The two began their trek into the pyramid and down the long winding hallway. In a large room, a red-haired young man with a tattoo for love on his forehead stood facing a rather large gate with a seal keeping the gate shut. Where am I? Asked Gaara as he looked around at the unfamiliar surroundings. He then heard a noise coming from within the gate. Who's there? Please, child, let mother out of here, pleaded the voice from inside the gate. Please get me out of here. You need me and I need you. Without me, you'll be all alone. You can stop calling yourself mother, Shukaku. It's rather insulting, said Gaara. The chamber became a bit brighter, revealing the Ichibi stuck behind the bars and within the cage. That still doesn't change the fact that you need me, said Shukaku. Besides, I need you. I'm the only one who has ever needed you. You're wrong about that, rebutted Gaara. Oh, you think those silly insects who made you, Kazekage, truly need you? Said Shukaku sarcastically. No. A sandy fist into the gates, but failed to even cause them to shutter. They only made you Kazekage because they fear you. They feared that you would destroy them all, so they submitted to you. It is because of me that you're Kazekage. You're wrong, shouted a voice from down the corridor. Gaara and Shukaku looked that direction to see a large reddish-orange fox with a blonde riding atop its head. Shukaku let out a venomous hiss as Naruto jumped down to Gaara's side. You. Come here. I'll kill you, shouted Shukaku. In response, Kurama let out a frightful roar, causing even Shukaku to flinch slightly. Gaara didn't become Kazekage because of you. He became Kakizekage because he's exactly what you're not, argued Naruto to the one-tailed Biju. Gaara, everyone who counts on you, the entire village of Suna, is either waiting for you to wake up, or is worried sick back in Suna for their Kazekage to return to them safely. Uzumaki Naruto, spoke Gaara. I take it this seal is your doing. It is. It's much stronger than your previous one and will stop Sandy over here from troubling you, said Naruto. Hell, now you'll finally be able to get a good night's sleep without worrying about him. Sleep, gasped Gaara, completely unfamiliar with the concept. Naruto, thank you. Don't mention it, buddy, grinned Naruto. Now come on, everyone's waiting for you outside. Don't you dare leave me here. I'll find a way out of this infernal contraption and when I do, I'll K everyone. Cursed Shukaku. Good luck. The only way to release the seal is with the key and trust me, I have no intentions of putting Gaara through that anytime soon, said Naruto as he reminisced the feeling of having a toad shoved down his tea. Kurama got a little laugh out of Naruto's expression. What do you mean? Asked Gaara. Trust me, I'm doing you a favor, said Naruto. I'll give you the key when you're absolutely sure you're ready. Until then, you won't have to worry about Sandy. Shukaku growled at the blonde before finally deciding to charge up a Bijudama. The Ichibi fired off the sphere of chakra, which exploded upon impacting the gates. When the dust cleared, the gates held firm and nothing had happened except for the Shukaku's temper rising to the point where he might just cook himself into glass. Why do you have to be so hostile, Shukaku? What? Who said that? I don't remember anyone else being in here, said Naruto as he frantically looked around for the source of the voice. So it appears as if I was correct, said Kurama as a smile crept upon his foxy face. It's been a while, old man. Shukaku's eyes widened as he eyed the man walking towards everyone. Everyone else's attention turned to see a man wearing a long hiyori with light spiky hair, which strongly resembled horns, and wielding a shakujo. However, the most striking features of the man were his eyes. His eyes appeared to be composed of numerous concentric purple rings. Father, gasped Shukaku. It honestly didn't take Naruto to piece the pieces together on just who this man was. Given everything that Kurama had told him, Naruto had already realized that this man was in fact the Rikudo Sennin, or at least the manifestation of the Sennin's chakra from within Shukaku. Still, Naruto couldn't help but stare in awe at the man in front of him. This was the founding father of ninjutsu himself and Naruto had missed his chance to meet him the last time around. Hello, Shukaku, greeted the sage before turning to Kurama, Naruto, and Gaara, both of the Jinchuriki not able to believe what was actually happening. And hello Kurama, young ones. I take it you have already met with the chakra I left you, Kurama. Kurama nodded. The sage turned his attention back to the reason he was here, to quell Shukaku's thirst and hatred. Now what seems to be troubling you, my child, said the sage as he calmly walked through the bars of the cage. In front of the sage, Shukaku playfully rolled over, revealing his bare belly, and as the sage gave Shukaku a scratch on his belly, the Ichibi's leg began to twitch playfully. Both Naruto and Gaara could only stare in shock as Shukaku had been reduced to a mere puppy in front of them and Kurama simply sweat dropped. I can feel that you've been troubled all these years, Shukaku, but mindless K is by no means the way to go about your life, said the sage. I brought you and your siblings into this world to find your own peace and to help maintain the peace of the world. However, I fear as if hatred is beginning to consume the hearts of every living being on this planet. It was that hatred that blinded you and drove you down the path you have been following. However, I feel as if it is time you looked at taking a new path. Perhaps by journeying down a different path will you find true peace and at the same time, help restore balance to this increasingly volatile world. But father, all this time, all I've known is K. What am I supposed to do? Asked Shukaku. Remember what I said. I said to you and your siblings to follow a righteous path, said the sage. Find something to live for in this world besides mindless K and hatred. Turn your back to the darkness and walk towards the light. And besides, I'm sure there are a few people who would be more than glad to help you. The sage pointed his shakujo towards Naruto and Gaara, both of which smiled and nodded. If it meant the Ichibi of his hatred to gain a powerful ally and potential friend, they would help. Kurama merely sighed in defeat. Think about what I have said, Shukaku, and what you can do to begin anew. Unfortunately, My time is running short and the chakra I sealed within you is nearly out. I will, father. Thank you, replied Shukaku. Old man, wait up one moment, spoke Kurama. Yes, Kurama, answered the sage. The Gedo Mazo is back, said Kurama in an ominous tone. The sage's peaceful expression was quickly removed from his face and replaced with a more serious one. The Gedo Mazo. You mean that statue thingy? Asked Naruto. Kurama nodded. What's so bad about? The Gedo Mazo is the body of the Jubi that I sealed away within the moon 1,000 years ago, said the sage. If the chakras of all 9 of my children, the Biju, were ever returned to that statue, the Jubi would return to this world and hatred would truly consume it once again. Yeah, and Sandy over there nearly got himself sealed within that abomination, stated Kurama. Shukaku actually felt ashamed that had it not have been for Kurama, he would be stuck inside that statue. Unfortunately, this was the time when the sage began to fade from existence as his chakra was running short. You will need to gather the remainder of your siblings, said the sage. And preferably sooner rather than later. Your 9 chakras cannot be allowed to reunite within that statue, or I fear what will become of this world. If you ever need to speak to me, you know where to find me. By then, the sage's chakra had completely vanished. 2 of the 9 ways to speak to the Rikido Sennin were now exhausted. So what do we do about Sandy? Asked Naruto as they faced the Ichibi's cage. Already, they could tell that Shukaku's thoughts had changed and he was now in conflict with himself. Go, spoke Shukaku. I must think about what father said. In the real world, after a few minutes of focusing on Gaara's seal, Naruto finally woke up from his little trance, still trying to sort out everything that had happened within the seal. Finally, much to everyone's anticipation, Gaara's eyes began to open. Welcome back, Gaara. You sure have caused us a great deal of trouble, smiled Naruto as Gaara gazed around at everyone surrounding him. Tell me about it, said a voice that sounded like Kankuro. Walking towards them was Kankuro along with another large group of Suna ninja. Just like a little brother, causing me all kinds of worries. Whack, you're not supposed to be moving for a few more days, shouted Sakura. What do you think you're doing out of the hospital? No one hits my brothers, shouted Temari, defending her brother before whacking him upside the head with her fan. Except me. And she's right, you should still be in the hospital. Troublesome, thought Naruto. Some hill in Konoha. A certain Nara with a pineapple-like ponytail couldn't resist the urge to sneeze. Man, why do I get the feeling someone I know is causing trouble somewhere, thought Shikamaru. Troublesome. The lazy Nara then proceeded to lie back down against the hillside and watch clouds. Back with Gaara. What's up with you two anyways? Gaara's the Kazekage, remember, stated Temari. I'm so relieved Gaara-sama's going to be alright, said one of the Suna ninja, breathing a sigh of relief. Oh please, like anything bad would happen to Gaara-sama, shouted Matsuri, thumping the Suna shinobi on the back of the head. Gaara-sama's silent and cool, and strong, and attractive, and elite. So true, but there's still something about him that's just cute, exclaimed another girl by the name of Yukata. And after all, he is the Kazekage. Immediately, the 2 girls dashed towards their idol, knocking poor Naruto out of the way and onto the ground. TSK, fangirls, scared Sasuke as he sat down beside Naruto. Tell me about it, replied Naruto. Sasuke immediately sent a questioning look to his blonde teammate. Since when did you know the horrors of fangirls? Ever since I saved the land of snow from a tyrannical ruler, replied Naruto. Ah, yeah, I heard about that, said Sasuke. Girls will pretty much always act like that, falling for the elite and cool guys, said Kankuro, joining the guys. Yeah, I remember Shikamaru saying something like that, said Naruto. And besides, none of them compare to Hinata-chan. Anyways, thank you, Naruto. And to you and your sensei as well, Uchiha Sasuke, said Kankuro. Don't mention it. There was no way I was going to let Gaara s to those creeps anyways, said Naruto. Oh. And I fixed his seal. He should be able to keep the Ichibi under control now and also get some real sleep. You really are something, Uzumaki Naruto, said Chio as she came over to Naruto. I honestly never expected someone from another village to go to such lengths to save another cage. Perhaps you are different after all. After a few more minutes of rest and Temari trying to fend off the two fangirls, the group was finally ready to return to Suna. Can I get a hand? Chuckled Kakashi, finding himself unable to move from his position on the ground he had taken up. That new Sharingan really takes a lot out of me. Great, thought Sakura. Looks like we probably won't be leaving Suna for a few days until you can regain enough chakra to make the trip back, Kakashi-sensei. That's okay, said Naruto. Besides, I think Suna actually has a ramen stand in my ramen passport book, to bio. Some things never change, sighed Sasuke. Chio Barkan, said Naruto, looking over at the collapsed and unconscious woman sitting on the ground near them. The blonde went over and gave her a slight tap on the shoulder. Nothing. Hey Sakura-chan, is something wrong with Chio Barkan? What? Her pulse is gone. Gasped Sakura. Had Chio really just on him there? She's but how? WHAA, shouted Chio as she leapt up in front of Naruto and Sakura, scaring the two Chunin nearly to death. The old lady let out a laugh. Wahaha. Over the years, I learned how to slow my heart rate to a snail's pace. You have no idea how many times I've done that to people, ha ha ha. Everyone just faltered at senile old woman's antics. Naruto and Sasuke helped Kakashi to his feet and began carrying their sensei back to Suna for some much needed rest. You know, just be glad Guy isn't here, said Kakashi. Most likely, he would have thrown me on his back and piggybacked me all the way back to Konoha. Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke shuddered at the image Kakashi had just put in their heads. So this is the real Sasori, thought B. Zetsu. Behind Zetsu, another cloaked wearing an orange spiral mask was digging through the rubble before pulling a ring out of the rubble. I found it, Zetsu-san. Cheered the other person. So do you think I'll be able to become a member of Akatsuki now? After all, there is an open spot. You moron, you don't really think you can join so easily, do you? Retorted B. Zetsu. Oh come on, we can let him in, said W. Zetsu. After all, Toby is a good boy. And with that, Toby dropped the ring down a deep crevice in the rubble. The Kazekige's company was greeted with massive cheer as they approached the gates of Suna. Right away, Sakura directed her team, and Kankuro to the hospital. We'll probably be here for the rest of the week while Kakashi-sensei rests, Sakura. I'll send a report to Tsunade Shosho and let her know when to expect us back. But besides that, I know I could use a little break. Within minutes, Naruto found himself at Suna's premier ramen stand, anxiously waiting on a bowl of Suna's dessert heat ramen. Upon receiving the bowl, Naruto's nose was bombarded by the scent of various spices. One thing that really caught Naruto's attention about the ramen was that instead of using beef, chicken, or shrimp as the meat in the dish, the ramen contained diced lamb meat, something Naruto was unfamiliar with. Taking one slurp of the ramen, Naruto was in heaven. So good. And sir, it was now that the spices were beginning to work their magic on Naruto's mouth. Hot, hot, hot. Currently, Naruto found himself sitting on top of one of the cliffs surrounding Suna, a few things on his mind that he was actively discussing with Kurama. Hey Kurama, I had a thought, said Naruto. I've been thinking and it feels like the best path to go is to find a way to temporarily separate us. That way, you can fight with your own abilities and I can assist you with my senjutsu and fuinjutsu. I've been thinking about that as well. While I would say that I could normally handle anything we would encounter myself, I realized that when trying to seal Shukaku that it would have actually been better if you could act separate to me, without having to resort to using a shadow clone that just went squish, said Kurama, laughing at the last part. I was actually thinking of using a shadow clone, but what if I used your chakra to make it instead of mine? Asked Naruto. That could work to an extent. My chakra would definitely be more durable than a normal shadow clone. But realize that we're not making a shadow clone. A shadow clone is a copy of you, however we're looking for a way to bring me out in a separate entity from yourself. And besides, a shadow clone has similar chakra as the original. You may be able to have your clones use separate elements, but that doesn't mean they can handle two completely different types of chakra, said Kurama. A shadow clones is a start, but I think if we were to go along that route, we'd need to create a completely new type of clone jutsu. Yeah, I think I get it, said Naruto. And I also need to find a place where I can train using your chakra before we can get started on this new jutsu. I don't think the village will take too well to me using Biju chakra within its walls, or you suddenly appearing out of nowhere when we do manage to get it right. Perhaps the pervert knows a place where we could use, replied Kurama. Yeah, said Naruto as something else, something much larger began to weigh on his thoughts. Hey Kurama, my dad was the one who sealed you, right? Yeah, why ask a silly question? Retorted Kurama. It's the seal he used, the 8 trigrams demonic containment seal. It's the one he used on me and the one I used on Gaara. But the question I have, is how did he use it? Asked Naruto. I don't think I quite get where you're going, replied Kurama. The 8 trigrams demonic containment seal is an Uzumaki developed seal, said Naruto. But that's just it. It's an Uzumaki seal. I found it in the secret scroll that showed the Uzumaki clan's demonic sealing arts. My dad shouldn't have been able to use that seal, but I've looked it over extensively and it's the same exact seal he used on me. Only someone with Uzumaki B could have used that seal, but my dad's not an Uzumaki. Are you absolutely sure about that? Asked Kurama. Yeah, I asked Ero Sennin and according to the village's records, my dad's not related to the clan, said Naruto. But the only way to use that seal is to have Uzumaki B in your veins, said Kurama. You know what I think? I think there's still much about your dad's side of your lineage we still don't know. I've asked Kakashi and Ero Sennin what they knew about my dad's family, but even they didn't know much, just that the Namikaze family has been with Konoha since the beginning and my dad was orphaned at a young age as a result of the war at the time, said Naruto. The only one I can think of who could give you the answers are the Yondaime, your father, himself. However, you never asked him that when you met him, said Kurama. I know mom and dad left me a few things before they Perhaps my dad has something that explains more, said Naruto. And while we're on that note, what about your mother's notebook? Asked Kurama. Sorry, I asked Barkan, but she said that everything my parents left me was sealed within numerous storage scrolls and I can't get them until I turn 16. It's less than 4 months away. Can you wait? Asked Naruto. Kurama grumbled a bit, but figured that village politics would most likely get in the way. Still, that didn't stop him from saying a few choice words about the village's inheritance policies. I know, and I promise, the moment I get my hands on that book, I'll begin my search for her, said Naruto. By the time Team 7 was ready to depart sooner, Kakashi had recovered to the point where he could travel at a decent pace back to Konoha. He still wouldn't be going on active duty for some time, but at the very least the nightmares Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke have been having recently of Kakashi and Guy playing piggyback wouldn't be coming true anytime soon. We'll be seeing you then, said Kankuro. It sucks that we had to cancel these Chunin exams, otherwise I'd be saying to stop by and see some of the action if you get a chance. Yeah, said Naruto. Normally, I guess this is where you're supposed to shake hands and leave, but I'm not very good with that kind of thing. Naruto was seen off by Gaara offering his hand for Naruto to shake. A warm smile came to everyone's face and some of Gaara's hand slowly began to move Naruto's hand towards Gaara as the two brothers shook hands. Uzumaki Naruto. Thank you, for everything, said Gaara. Yeah, thank you for everything, Naruto, said Temari. Hey, because of that new seal, we actually had to wake Gaara up or else he'd miss your departure, said Kankuro. Who knew Gaara even knew how to sleep that much? Senpai. Deidara Senpai. The one-armed Akatsuki sighed as he heard the childish voice of Tobi approach. What happened to the Jinchuriki? Asked B. Zetsu. TSK, Deidara shrugged. Leader Sama's not going to be happy. So both the Ichibi and Kyubi got away. Shame, said W. Zetsu. Anyways, Leader Sama has requested you return to the main base. We will recoup and reassign tasks. The death of Sasori will surely be felt through the organization, said B. Zetsu. Conan has gone on ahead to capture the Gobi. We will begin the sealing once she returns. So the rumors out of Iwa about the Kyubi brat K old Han weren't true, said Deidara. It appears as if the Gobi used that encounter to fake his own death and escape from Iwa, said B. Zetsu. Anyways, we have located its location in the southern lands of this continent. Perhaps a Jinchuriki that's already believed to be S is the best way to begin anyways, said Deidara. What's this? You look as if you're just barely hanging in there, Deidara-senpai, said Toby. You okay? I guess not. Toby, it's been a long day. Even my patience has its limits, said Deidara. Just try saying something else and I'll assign you a cause of death. You're just going to bomb me to death, right? Asked Toby. Art is an explosion. Katsu. Boom. WAAA, cried Toby as the explosion from a small bit of clay that Deidara found in his other pocket detonated, sending the newest Akatsuki member airborne. Konoha. I see. So not only does Akatsuki consist of Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame, but Sasori and Deidara were also members, said Tsunade. Barkin, I also remember that Kisame guy mentioning another name. Kakazu I believe, said Naruto, recalling his fight with Kisame. Tsunade let out a sigh and crossed her hands. Well that doesn't help, said Jiraiya, appearing in the window. The only Kakazu I know of is the one who tried to the Shodai nearly a century ago, around the time when the villages were first being formed. If the stories surrounding him are true, then Akatsuki truly has some monsters within their organization. Alright Team Kakashi, congratulations on completing your first S-rank mission. Unless you have anything else to discuss, you're dismissed, said Tsunade. Actually Barkin, can I speak with Ero Sennin? Asked Naruto. You can. I however am needed in the hospital. We almost have the Kaima genes in Isaribi decoded, said Tsunade. We're never going to be able to remove them, but once we figure out how they work, perhaps we can make the activation of the genes something Isaribi can fully control herself and without side effects. Hold on, and what about Karen Nichan? Asked Naruto. The good news is that she's agreed to cooperate fully with the interrogation department in giving us all information she has available regarding Orochimaru, said Tsunade. As such, she's only going to be placed on probation for a few months before she's allowed to join our ninja forces as a genin. That also brings me to something important I want to discuss with you, but it's something that can wait, so sometime later this week perhaps. Now if you'll excuse me. So what's up Naruto? Asked Jiraiya, he and Naruto being left alone in the Hokage's office. First, I think I figured something out regarding Orochimaru's curse mark, said Naruto, greatly piquing Jiraiya's interest. It actually absorbs natural energy into whoever bears it. Natural energy. Well that's definitely not good, said Jiraiya. Naruto proceeded to explain some of his discoveries from the mission to the Land of Sea. The instability of natural energy within those curse seal freaks of Orochimaru's actually explains a lot. Nice catch there, Naruto. Now, what else did you want to talk to me about? I wanted to know if you knew anywhere I could train, said Naruto. I mean there are plenty of training grounds around Konoha, isn't that enough? Asked Jiraiya. I mean training as in more destructive training like with Kurama's powers and trying to complete the Rasengan, said Naruto. The last thing I want to do is blow up part of the village or release Kurama in the middle of it, sending the entire village into a panic. You know, there is that place where your father used to train, said Jiraiya. It's an old temple buried into the side of the mountains about an hour or so north of the village. Actually, that place should be more than enough to accommodate any training you do with Kurama, so long as you don't deliberately try to bring the place down with a couple dozen Bijudamas. Really? That'd be great, exclaimed Naruto. How about I show you tomorrow, said Jiraiya. Besides, if I understand correctly, your little girlfriend is out on a mission right now and won't be back until the following day and you guys have at least a week's worth of rest before Tsunade sends you on any more missions, giving you plenty of time to spend with her. A perverted grin then crept onto Jiraiya's face. And don't think I don't know about those incidents during your mission, hee. Shut it you pervert. Jutsus. Bijudama. Rank, Naruto. Inferno Pulse, Kurama's strongest fire-based ability where he builds up superheated chakra and expels it outwards in one massive pulse, instantly scorching anything in its path. However, instead of incinerating everything in the attack's path, Inferno Pulse petrifies everything into a charred stone, or glass in Shukaku's case. Rank, Naruto. Foxfire, rank, Naruto. Futon, Drilling air bullets, rank, Naruto. Summoning, Food Cart Destroyer Technique, rank, B. Kaiten, Majestic Fire Annihilation, rank, S. Futon, Hurricane's Wrath, probably the Uzumaki clan's most powerful wind jutsu. This is a widespread attack, unleashing the wrath of a major hurricane upon enemy forces. The power contained within this jutsu is enough to uproot entire forests or destroy numerous structures. This jutsu requires an extremely high amount of chakra, intended for use by only those with cage-level chakra reserves or higher. Of course, Yachiroki level reserves is almost overqualified. Rank S. Secret Uzumaki Fuinjutsu, 8 trigrams demonic sealing technique. This is one of the Uzumaki clan's demonic seals, found within the demonic sealing arts scroll, one of the 5 secret technique scrolls. This is the same as the Hakufuin from canon, just the longer and full version of the name. Rank S. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.